welcome to the Rotowire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, sponsored by WinBet. I'm Clay Link here on this deadline afternoon with Todd Zola. Been a pretty crazy couple hours, Todd, and the moves still coming in. Doesn't sound like there's anything crazy that's left unreported, but we'll do what we can to recap things. I don't think we'll get around to everything before the two starters, but we'll get around to a lot. Todd, maybe the biggest story is who didn't get traded. Trevor Story staying put. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, I just like to. I have. There's been rumors that I'm going to be traded to Fantasy Alarm. That's just not true. It's nothing against Fantasy Alarm, but I've decided to stay.
You used your no trade.
Yeah, I used my no trade clause.
They weren't on your list of pre-approved.
Well, no, I mean, I did a silly joke. Anyway, I used to work there. Everybody knows they're great people. That was the first dumb company that came into my head for the joke. We got a lot to talk about. Zola, stop joking.
Well, yeah, Story didn't get moved. I saw just before we're starting Chris Bryant to the Giants. Pretty interesting, and a ton to get to. I saw the Nationals and the Dodgers finalized that big blockbuster deal. Scherzer and Trey Turner, the rich just get richer there.
Yeah.
And pretty good package returning the other way, although what the Blue Jays gave up for Jose Barrios I thought was quite a bit more, like not maybe more in a vacuum, but I thought they had to pay up more for Barrios than the Dodgers did for the combination of Scherzer and Trey Turner.
Well, a lot of it has to do with Barrios has a year of control.
Yep.
And I tweeted this, and I think that the Blue Jays also see this as an opportunity to sort of convince Barrios to, they have a year to convince him to stay, right? He's going to look at that infield. He's going to look at Hyun-Jin Ryu with 2 years left, Alek Manoah. And I think what they're going to try to do is extend him. And that this deal looks a lot better if Toronto's able to extend him. And I don't think Barrios is one of the guys. I don't think he's going to break the bank. He doesn't have a Cy Young resume. He's just very good. Just like in fantasy. He's a very good pitcher, but he's not a 25, 30, well, maybe not a $30 or $35 pitcher. So I don't think he's going to break the bank. And will he go out and try to get the best offer? Maybe. But if the Blue Jays give him a good offer and he likes the environment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I think they got a chance to sign this guy. And then, again, this deal looks a lot better if that's the case.
This has been a crazy afternoon. I just want to shout out our breaking news crew for the excellent job they've done covering things. I've been on that end before, and it's just hard to stay afloat. And I realize it's a difficult day, and I just want to give credit to them because they're doing a tremendous job covering the trade deadline at rotowire.com. If you're not a subscriber, you can check us out free for 10 days, rotowire.com.
Yeah, and they're tagging in. They're tagging in Jeff and myself tonight to get the teams, all the playing time all fleshed out. So when we rerun the projections for the morning, the rest of season, hopefully that'll all be taken care of.
Just to recap some of these moves, I mentioned Barrios. It was for Austin Martin and Simeon Woods Richardson. So two pretty good prospects for Barrios.
Yeah.
And, the Nats got Kaiber Ruiz. I'm sorry, there was something popping up audio-wise that distracted me. Kaiber Ruiz, Josiah Gray, and a couple mid-level guys. I like that move for really all sides involved. And I'm just a little surprised at the price it took to get Barrios. But I thought the Twins did a good job. I think you had to capitalize and send Barrios.
We don't know what went on behind the scenes. It may have taken that much to get Barrios. Somebody else may have been in the running, and we don't know how cool the negotiations are behind the scenes. But maybe the Twins or the Blue Jays had another legitimate offer, and in order to beat it, the Twins had another legitimate offer. In order to beat it, they had to do this deal. Parks, etc. I've got both of these guys, both of the former Blue Jays, now Twins, on an AL only farm roster. So I've been kind of following these guys, and the park, it's similar runs environment. Rogers Center is a little better for homers. I'm not as concerned about the move for Barrios as far as ERA, although the AL East is obviously stronger than the AL Central. So that's it's not so much the park, it's the competition.
The Mets got Javi Baez.
Yeah, how about that?
Along with Trevor Williams, they gave up Pete Crow Armstrong. So he was like a top pick last year, I think it was, in a prep outfielder, and they gave up pretty quickly. I saw somebody on Twitter mentioning, the Mets rarely in their history have they given up on a prep picks so early, but I guess the chance to get Baez, Trevor Williams, is too good to pass up.
Well, they're seeing how poorly Kellenick's doing. They figure, we can get rid of this guy.
It did seem like a lot more bigger name prospects were on the move this year. Nick Madrigal was sent along with Cody Hoyer. I don't think a prospect eligible player anymore, but for Craig Kimbrell, and I'm wondering, do you think that kills Kimbrell's value? Do you think he's a setup guy now?
They've come out and said, and who knows what will happen, that both guys will end up getting saves down the stretch.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if it kills. Does it hinder, especially Hendricks? Because in an AL only, the Kimbrell's kind of like found money. Hendricks, you're counting on for more saves. Yeah, I think it hurts. It hurts Kendrick. Kendrick's obviously how many you get?
Hendricks
average 6 saves a month. So you're expecting around 12. So does that mean each now gets 6, or maybe they get a little more? So maybe they each get 8. I don't know, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see who gets the first opportunity. Yeah, that'll be interesting. But speaking of closers, I know we're kind of just jumping around. If you have Ian Kennedy in a mixed league, he went to like the one team where you're pretty sure he's going to keep closing, right, with Philly.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, so that
Texas getting Spencer Howard, who was a big time prospect.
I like the park. I like that. I like what Texas is doing. The pitching. Let's see what happens there. But yeah, so if Kennedy went like 2 weeks without a save because Texas was scoring like a run and a half a game. So then he got a couple saves, maybe at least one, this week. But with Philadelphia, you'd think in a mixed league anyway, you still have your closer too. Whereas, if he had gone to Boston or somebody else looking for relief help, Kennedy may not have closed. And Sabores, who's going to close in Texas for the 2 games they're going to win the rest of the year, I'm not sure.
Yeah, true. We still got moves coming in after the deadline, as is usual.
Yeah.
With teams kind of just getting them in under the bell, and then they're reported a little after the deadline passes. Jorge Soler to the Braves. Braves also got
really?
Adam Duvall. Yeah.
And they also got Eddie Rosario. And they also got Jock Peterson. What are they? They're stocking up DHs, so they're gonna be trading DHs when there's a DH next year. I could care less, except the fact I'm already sweating over their playing time, and now we got to sweat even a little bit more. So
Casey Kalitch apparently was the right-hander headed back to Kansas City in that deal, according to Jeff Passan. So yeah, they have a weird kind of roster construction there in Atlanta now.
Well, they just have they just have a bunch of guys, right? They're playing softball, which is kind of weird because I don't know that they have the pitching to match up to some of these other clubs that have put together just, rock solid top 3.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that, Atlanta just had to give up Pablo Sandoval for Rosario. Rosario was just on a 1-year deal, right?
I assume that has to be Pablo Sandoval Jr., right? He has to have a kid, right? There's no way.
Bloodline pick.
Yeah, there's no way. That's
has to be some player to be named later or something.
That's just. I don't know. You know what? I don't usually comment on trades. I don't know the minor leaguers well enough. That one I just don't get.
Yeah, same. I picked up Kaiber Ruiz, by the way. I mentioned him earlier. I picked him up in the Stake League last night just because I feel like. Well, maybe he's a guy you play some service time games with. He's already been in the bigs, and I figure they turned him loose, especially because they traded Yan Gomes, didn't they?
Do you play service time with a catcher?
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, Gomes went with Josh Harrison to Oakland.
Right. Yeah, I don't know that you're playing service time with a catcher. It seems to me, you want to get the bullets while you can. There's only so much. I know guys are still playing at 34, 35, but it wouldn't shock me if we see Ruiz. He was hitting well in the minors, right? Wasn't he hitting pretty well?
Yeah, he was crushing it. Yeah. He just had Will Smith and Barnes, who the pitching staff likes.
So going back to the Braves, all these guys, but who's going to play center?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Abraham Almonte has been, obviously the Pache, but I don't know that I don't know who's going to be. They got all these corner outfielders. Who's going to play center field? Heredia is there now.
Jock Peterson too.
Yeah, so Almonte. So who's going to actually play center is going to be the interesting thing there for the Braves. But yeah, some of the other anything else trickling in. I know you mentioned Hansel Robles. All my Red Sox fans are saying you were wrong. They did make a trade. Okay, good. That's Hansel Robles music. That's Hansel Robles music.
Hey, and they got Schwarber. So
that they did. But
you saying before we got on that you kind of like that they didn't go too crazy.
Right. I mean, it's better to talk, plenty of time to talk about that sort of thing. But another deal, Jordan Luplow going and DJ Johnson going to Cleveland, going from Cleveland to the Rays. So Luplow is just kind of he's hurt, but he's kind of one of the typical Rays platoon type players. But it does clean up a little bit of the log jam in the Indians outfield. But yeah, no, we'll talk about it. But I think kind of like in fantasy, you go a year too early, you don't win the title, and then you just trash your farm system for years to come. I don't really want to compare, a $1 billion baseball industry to a, $50 entry fantasy team. But I've done that too many times. And I think that's kind of what Chaim Bloom was thinking about, was he has a plan. And the Red Sox overperforming this season, and I don't think he's going to throw the plan away for a shot, especially with all these super teams. The team we haven't talked about yet, we mentioned it with Kimbrel, but I love what the White Sox have done with Cesar Hernandez and adding Kimbrel.
That freed them up to trade Madrigal, obviously, and
right.
Kimbrel.
But I think they're just they with Lynn and Giolito and Rodon and maybe Kopech, who knows. They're going to have to be on their A game, each and every series, right? But they have the talent, they have the stuff, they have the skills to match up with some of these other top 3s/top 4s. I think specifically in the NL is where we're seeing all these rotations. But I think that the White Sox offense is fine. I think this is a very interesting. The Yankees spending and Houston making some deals to watch the White Sox go into the World Series. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, I thought TLR maybe would get in the way of that team, but they've been fantastic regardless, and seems like they're going to be there at the end for sure. Now they got that back end with Liam Hendricks and Craig Kimbrel.
Why can't I think of the fireballer's name? The young kid, not Kopech, the lefty. It'll come to me. No, I'll get it. But anyway, just to make the bullpen that much better.
And Starling Marte, of course, was dealt a few days ago. Then the Yankees got Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah,
great Italian combo there. Do you like what the Yankees did? Do you think they actually have a chance, or is this going to be not maybe too little, too late, but just too late?
We'll see. Actually, so I don't get tweeted at, it's Garrett Crochet who was thinking of. And under the radar, Ryan Tapera is having an outstanding season. Mm-hmm. So have the White Sox turned it into a 5 to 6 inning game? They very well may have. But anyway, all right. So the last question was.
Oh, just the Yankees. I'm not going to say it's too little because they get 2 big bats, but I just think it may be too late for them.
It might be, but it's not a team. If they do sneak it, if they do make it into the wild card and win the wild card game, and who's to say they don't win the division if the Red Sox, did make some moves and Chris Sale is and all that, and Eduardo Rodriguez doesn't turn it around, and Xander Bogaerts' wrist is hurt more than they think it is, and Devers is tweaked a little bit now, and Kyle Schwarber's put at first base and can't field. Who knows? Maybe the Yankees win. It's not a team I think you want to face. Now, Garrett Cole's last outing, hopefully for Yankees fans, it was just, one of those things, right? And it wasn't a sign of, when Tampa Bay pretty much owned him last time out. After that, the Yankees rotation, maybe Severino comes back, kind of like, will Chris Sale come back? We'll see. But I think they made moves they had to make. And did they crush their system? Sure, they gave up a couple of guys that were legitimate prospects, but I think the Yankees do realize they've got the payroll that they can keep churning these guys, and I think they just saw an opportunity to go for it, and they did.
Yeah, I mean they're never gonna cave. I guess they did that one year where they traded Chapman, but they very rarely are sellers.
And AL only, folks. If you're in one of those leagues that has a 1-game eligibility rule, guess who played 1 game at second base? Anthony Rizzo.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So if you're in one of those quirky well, first of all, get a new league. But that's for next year. Yeah, and a friend of mine actually DM me that earlier. That he's all psyched because he gets Rizzo at second base. I'm like, well, because I remembered he tells me he's in a one game league. So anyway,
mentioned Chris Bryant to the Giants, and I saw you tweeting about how in-season park factor numbers are noise, but what we know about not AT&T Field, Oracle Park now, how it's been playing the past few years. Is this kind of a neutral move for Bryant park factor wise? Do you know?
It's always tough when you consider Wrigley Field, because Wrigley Field is literally 2 parks. Early in the year and later in the year, it plays really big. I'm sorry, it plays small. It plays small later in the year when it gets warm and humid in Chicago. Early in the year when it's cold and clammy, it plays really small. So it is a downgrade to the current Wrigley Field. I don't know the whole thing with Oracle and the moving of the fences and the portholes and the wind, how it's playing this year. But I think on paper, in a vacuum, so to speak, it is a downgrade. Now, I haven't looked at Chris Bryant too closely this year. He's a guy that I've never liked because he was always helped by Wrigley. I think that his exit velocities have increased this year, but I'm not sure that he's going to be able to take full advantage. I don't know that we can expect a ton of power from Bryant. Maybe I'm still just not on the bandwagon, and I should be at this point because he's proven me wrong, at least to a certain extent. But I am worried about the park.
Well, he's been pretty brutal the past few months, and I don't know how it could get much worse than it's been recently for Chris Bryant. So maybe this trade will rejuvenate him a little bit. By the way, the Braves snuck another trade in at the deadline here. Richard Rodriguez. So they get another arm. I imagine Will Smith still mostly the closer there, but I think this probably frees up David Bednar to be the closer in Pittsburgh. So
the Braves are the Braves are going. They're going for it, right? They're going to trust that their young pitching and a couple of veterans, Morton, etc., can match up with these other teams. And apparently they're hoping if they can't, they're going to be able to hit the ball out of the park now with some of these acquisitions. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see if Ian Anderson can come back. Obviously, Fried. After that, I mentioned Morton, but you're going to be counting on a Drew Smiley or Kyle Muller or even Tukey. And once you start to get into these teams 3, 4, and 5s, or maybe not 5, but 3 and 4s, the teams that have just made some deals, that's going to be a tough go. Especially if you have to use a Max Fried to win a wild card game or Charlie Morton to win a wild card game, and now you have to. Actually, they're not going to get the wild card, are they? It's division or nothing for them, right?
I would think so. Yeah. That probably has to be the case. But I give them credit for not folding it in after losing Acuna. Like, at least they're doing something. My Reds, they beefed up the bullpen a little bit, but man, they didn't. They pretty much sat on their hands.
Interesting. We talk about the Red Sox getting Chris Sale back. The Reds have got 3 quality hitters coming back at some point in the next, 3 or 4 weeks. So are they considering the return of Senzel and Castellanos and Moustakas their acquisitions?
It kind of makes sense.
Wouldn't you still like to see somebody to play shortstop? Even I know that they're going to put Senzel there.
Ridiculous.
Farmer actually has been hit. The worst thing that happened with him is Farmer's been on fire lately, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a capable shortstop, not a great, everyday player at the major league level, but he hasn't been bad. And that has kind of complicated things for the Reds. By the way, your Red Sox traded Michael Chavis to Pittsburgh for Austin Davis. So that's kind of interesting. Chavis now probably turned loose, see what he can do. kind of a maker, maybe not make or break, but you think it's maybe this stretch run will, have a lot to do with Michael Chavis's rolled out early next year, like and maybe his future with that organization. I'd imagine they give him a long look over these final 2 months.
Traded away Adam Frazier, so there's openings. Austin Davis, a pitcher. What left or right-handed? Lefty. I thought left-handed reliever. So all right. I mean, one of those guys that's been around a little bit, hasn't really had success, and he's capitalizing on 9 innings this season of good pitching. So we'll see what happens.
Freddie Galvez goes from the Orioles to the Phillies in the big blockbuster of the afternoon. Kidding, obviously. Miles Straw for Phil Maton. I kind of like Phil Maton. The Astros bullpen is just scary too, especially after they added Graveman and several others.
So what is Houston doing now for an outfield without Straw?
Yeah, maybe they like Chas McCormick.
Apparently, unless they're going to make a move, or there's someone that's evading my immediate recall. Yeah, I mean, because Straw, I keep increasing his playing time, and keep increasing his playing time, and keep increasing his playing time. Okay, he's going to be the guy. It has to be McCormick unless they're going to make another move, at least unless they trust somebody else. Brantley can't play center.
Well, Pedro Leon was working out in center. He's like a shortstop initially in his young career, but now he's expected to miss 6 weeks with a fractured left pinky finger, Pedro Leon. So he won't be an option to replace Straw.
Yeah, he was on James Anderson's double arrow up on the new Dynasty rankings, wasn't he?
Yeah, I believe so, or prospect list or something.
Right,
but,
right.
So the Astros got Graveman, Yimi Garcia, Phil Maton. Man, they're pretty nasty. I think they're probably the team to beat in the American League.
I still think the White Sox aren't going anywhere.
So would you give that title to the White Sox?
You know what? Until I find out who's playing center field with Houston, and again, they're counting on some young pitching as well.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a wonderful series, and it can go either way. But and I don't think I still don't think you can count out whoever comes out of the East. I think it's weird. The National League seems to have, stronger pitching with what Milwaukee, what they're doing, or what they did. They don't have to do what they've got, right? And I think we haven't talked a lot about Milwaukee. I think they too feel that I don't want to say found money, but they're maybe a little ahead of where they thought they'd be, and the pitching is a little better than they thought it'd be. I don't know what they could give up to improve a whole ton, but they've kind of already made their moves.
Yeah, real quick, we got more to get to before we move on to two-star pitchers. But first, let's throw to a quick word from our sponsors. Now we are back on the Rotowire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Clay Link here with Todd Zola. Our pod is sponsored by WinBet, and we'll have more from them shortly in the show. But Todd, other moves, Jay Happ to the Cardinals. Not a trade note, but Corey Seager's back in action today. I wonder, with Trey Turner getting there, do you think, I don't know, maybe it's Trey at second a little bit, maybe Corey
That's
Seager
what they said. Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
Okay.
Was Trey Turner at second. And obviously goes to short next year,
Yeah.
But what it means is your guy.
Seager's a free agent.
Your guy, one of your favorites, and someone I have in XFL, Gavin Lux.
Yeah, Gavin Lux.
He's out of a job for a year, huh? Or for half a year.
Yeah, he's been really rocky, and you hate to see that. Other moves here, I mean, nothing else that I've seen come in after the bell, but some other moves. Daniel Norris to the Milwaukee Brewers. I remember when he was pretty big time prospect for a little while. Obviously, that shine's worn off, but lefty, you can help.
Injury, and now he got hurt, and now he's just trying to carve a niche out of the bullpen, and he's doing all right. Actually, he's been used a lot too as a primary pitcher and or opener. So we'll see what use he has or what role he has.
Brewers also got Eduardo Escobar from Arizona, and then there were a few others that I wanted to ask you about. Well, Diego Castillo to Seattle, not a huge move, but how do you see the save shaking out? Do you think it's it's Diego Castillo? Do you think it's Paul Sewald?
Yeah, not sure. And I wrote for my ESPN daily notes, go out and pick up Sewald. And the next, that's posted the day before. So that night they picked up Castillo. So I actually forgot to change the note this morning, but in all the excitement. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting or curious what's going to go on there. I think don't they have the Mariners? Don't they have a closer hurt? Like I'm talking for long term.
Oh yeah, Giles, right? Yeah, Giles.
Yeah. So I thought there was actually a second guy as well, but
Andres Munoz.
Yeah, maybe I should unthink that. Yeah, maybe that's maybe
Middleton
we should
too. Keenan Middleton.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't. Well, he's not. He wasn't thinking of. I was thinking of Munoz, but yeah, let's unthink that. It's Ken Giles. But anyway, but this year I think that it's a timeshare, probably, and I don't know that either guy gets the bulk. I think Seattle is going to make a play for the wild card. We'll see what happens as far as all that goes. I'm kind of curious what they're going to do with some of their pitching as we get closer to the as the season wears on with innings. Well, Gonzalez was injured, so I don't think we have to worry too much about that. But will they temper Gilbert's innings? Will they temper Kikuchi's innings? I think you just let Tyler Anderson go, right? You don't. He's like a rental car. Nothing beats like a rental. Not too concerned there.
Yeah, when they traded Graveman, I saw a quote from Jerry DiPoto saying this move may not make sense in a vacuum, but it's kind of a precursor to other moves. You just have to wait and see. I think when everything else happens, the bigger picture will come into focus. Right. But I don't really see it. I mean, I guess you do get Abraham Toro, who I kind of like, but I don't see, I think Kendall Graveman, Diego Castillo is a pretty lateral move, and they didn't really add much else. I mean, Tyler Anderson.
No, exactly. I think that if Graveman wasn't so loved by the team and the fans, I don't think it would have been as big of an uproar. But I guess he's a good clubhouse guy, a popular player, both internally and externally. If it was just somebody else, and I think DiPoto also made he came on too hard with the wait, we're not done. I think if he had calmed that down a bit and said, take it easy, we're still going to compete, maybe it wouldn't have made that much, because now people are waiting. What's he going to do? Not that Castillo's bad, but Tampa, I mean, they trade away good players and they just get good players back. It's just bizarre what Tampa does.
Yeah, it's like the second or the few months before the guy becomes ARB eligible, they trade him and somehow get pre-ARB guys who are like just as good.
It's just amazing. And I mean, Anderson's coming back soon. We'll see what form of Nick Anderson comes back, right? But at this point, Fairbanks is probably, actually all their top three air quote closers are on the IL with Fairbanks, Fireheisen, and Anderson. Mm-hmm. So, I know they picked up JT Schwarber in all these deals, but they always make it work, right? But, I
really like Matt Whistler, but I have no idea who it's going to be there now. You're right.
Kittredge, Chargois, Springs. I think it's just going to mix and match. They're going to have Archer's coming off the IL soon enough. Patino, that was kind of nice to see
awesome
for fantasy purposes, and Tampa Bay Ray purposes. Patino not just pitching well, but giving length.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Going 6 and getting 8 Ks, I think.
Yeah.
I got him in tout head-to-head last week for a $0 ad, and I'm just like, that could honestly save my season, Luis Patino. I'm holding on to a playoff spot by a hair. So, you love getting guys like Varsho and Luis Patino a 0 in a 12-team league.
Especially in your situation in a head-to-head where you're required to use that player. So it could cost you a week by having a 0.
Yeah,
I don't know if it did.
I took a 0 earlier this year on Manoah, and that hurt that week, obviously.
But you're right. But if you strengthen your team to still make the playoffs and just have a really good team in the stretch, but that's a huge decision. I mean, in a rotisserie, it matters as well, but a little bit less, just because
you can put them on your bench.
Right. Well, I mean, you still have to play them, so you get a 0 for a week. Maybe it doesn't hurt your cumulative stats a ton. Especially like a starting pitcher. But yeah. So anyway.
A couple others real quick. Brad Hand with him moving. It looks like in Washington, maybe Kyle Finnegan. I think he got a save last night, right? Kyle Finnegan. So maybe a little tan or rainy, but it looks like Kyle Finnegan.
I think, it wasn't rainy, just reactivated or brought off the IL again.
That sounds
Yeah, he just returned. So I think we may see Finnegan early, and I think Washington may give Rainey a look-see down the stretch.
Yeah, I could see that. There was another bullpen situation I wanted to ask you about, but I'm blanking on it right now. I guess in Miami it's probably Anthony Bender now that Yimmy's no longer there.
Right, and we've been talking about Bender. We've been talking about Bender for a little while, and we like him. We liked him just as someone to get because he's a good pitcher. And now maybe we get some saves out of Anthony Bender. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, other players who, maybe come into some more time. Brent Rooker, he was picked up in the Rotowire Stake League. I could see that.
Yep.
Corey Dickerson, I think he's on the IL, but now in Toronto. Do you think he's going to be a factor out there? He's beginning a rehab assignment or began one Wednesday.
Yeah, again, keeping playing time. I carry excess playing time. I try to tighten it up at this time of year because playing time matters, at least relative to, people trying to make decisions. It's a lot more important now to have it matter. A lot of times it takes care of itself just because the team releases a guy, makes a trade, and you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, Teoscar Hernandez certainly does not deserve to lose playing time. Obviously Springer. So Grichuk and, Gurriel. And the thing with Dickerson is even though he's a lefty, in the past he's hit lefties well. And his defense has been inconsistent. He was kind of poor, but he made himself into a good outfielder, and that's kind of fallen back a little bit. But I think they'll find him some playing time. I'm not sure at whose expense right now, but Springer's playing if he's healthy, and I think Teoscar deserves to play if he's healthy. So I guess that leaves right field and DH.
Well, before we move on to 2-start pitchers for next week, we still are going to do that. The other side of the Kimbrel trade that we didn't talk about was who closes for the Cubs, and that was, I guess you maybe threw out a name or two, but do you have a preference if you're making a pickup, Rex Brothers?
Actually, I didn't because we mentioned Tapera was traded, so.
Oh, yeah. So I guess Dan Winkler, Rex Brothers, or maybe Rowan Wick? Is he coming back?
Yeah, was it Brad Wyke that is like not extended as the IL stint or something? I have to remember all the different. They've got a lot of similar names.
Yeah,
out there.
Brad Wyke was transferred to the 60-day.
Yeah.
Recently.
Okay, and isn't Wick's on the 60, but isn't Wick maybe close to coming back?
Yeah, he's at AAA now with his rehab. So
yeah,
he was the kind of closer and waiting, at least perceived to be in prior years.
Yeah. So, lefty righty there with Winkler and Brothers. I think it's a matchup. I don't think it. I know it only matters, but neither of these guys excite me horribly. I'd probably go Winkler, but I'd like to. It's getting late in the season to try to find saves elsewhere. What's Winkler? Is Winkler getting the holds? Where was he in the hierarchy? 6 holds and 1 blown save, I guess. And I think Brothers. I know Brothers was used under higher leverage scenarios. So I think you flip a coin.
Yeah, Brothers. Did he close in Colorado many years ago? Then got hurt and was gone for a long time.
Yeah. As we know, the shelf life of a Colorado closer is very, very small. 8 holds, 1 save. So it looks like they're both being used in leverage scenarios. Brothers is pitching really well late. Well, no, I got to keep clicking up. Multiple runs in 3 of his last 4 efforts, so maybe he's not pitching so well lately.
Cody Hoyer, who they got in that Kimbrel deal, I kind of like. He hasn't been great this year, but he's still only 24 and had a really good run last year. So He'll be a guy to keep an eye on long term there.
Guy that, can throw the ball through a brick wall, but he just has to hit that brick wall.
Very true. That team's it's kind of unrecognizable now. You look at that depth chart.
Same with Washington, huh?
Yeah, man. I'm actually just kind of confirmed a trip to go see my brother in Washington, and I think we're going to go to a Nats game in September, and that team will be completely. It's like a quad A, but then you add Soto, and that he alone makes it.
I just realized something, Clay. This just struck me. You mentioned Soler's being traded.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Come on, think.
Atlanta has.
No. Think on Kansas City. Edward Olivares.
Ooh, yeah.
Edward Olivares will return. Woo!
Back on that train. I'm still waiting on Bobby Witt in a couple leagues, like an idiot. I'm stubborn.
I'm crying. Yeah, I mean, Alcides Escobar is going to be. He's going to stay his job because it's kind of minor news compared to what else is going on. But the Nationals announced that Starlin Castro will be released once his 1 month suspension runs out.
Yeah.
The other kind of news related to all this is, and we had it on the site, is Andres Simenez. If people are waiting for his call up, you got to wait a little while because he's going through some citizenship stuff and can't travel to Toronto. And Cleveland's got an upcoming series in Toronto. So they're still the Indians until the end of the year. The Indians are waiting on calling up Simenez until they're clear of the Toronto series.
James had been stashing Andres Simenez on our main team, and I dropped him for Vidal Brujan. So I apologize to James for that.
Ooh, are you guys still talking?
Yeah. I mean, we're actually doing pretty well because, like, Abraham Toro and I forget who else we picked up. That's just been a huge surprise.
Toro, 4 homers in a row. What's going on,
It's fantastic. But, yeah, we're inside the top 100.
Nice.
The overall, and we're just, I do kind of feel bad because I do like Simenez as a final 2 months.
Oh, he's been crushing it.
Yeah.
He's been crushing it with and I made a mistake on the notes. I had a brain cramp. I said Toledo. No, it's no longer with Toledo. It's Columbus is there. The Indians farm. Toledo's with Detroit. But I'm so old. I remember when the Toledo Mud Hens, and it probably has to do with Jamie Farr in MASH. That old connection. But I made a mistake, and the ESPN notes was called out for it, rightfully so, saying that Simenez has been playing. Well, yeah, someone saying that Simenez was been hitting well for Toledo. Well, no, he hasn't. He's been hitting well for Columbus.
Well, a lot of affiliates jump around. That's an easy mistake.
Well, no, I just made a mistake. It's all it's good.
A minor one, but of course somebody will call you. Raisel Iglesias, there was some rumors that he would be moved, but it looks like he's staying put there in Anaheim. And mentioned that maybe the biggest story is the guy who didn't get moved. The Rockies will be able to tender him a qualifying offer, Trevor Story, and they'll get a comp pick back when he signs elsewhere. But whoever you get for the comp pick, that's better than. I mean, when you look at the other prospects moved, Austin Martin, Kaiber Ruiz, they couldn't have gotten a better. They couldn't have had a better option than just getting that comp pick.
At the end of each year, the Tout Wars board reviews each league and checks out, are people making moves? Are they making fab moves? Are they changing their roster? And occasionally there's someone who didn't, and we'll send them a little note, what's going on? I think someone should send Colorado a note.
It's like they just abandoned their team.
We'll give you, we don't want to kick you out. We want to hear why, but man, you got to do some, you got to make some moves. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so.
Well, we'll move on to 2-star pitcher grades for next week, the week of August 2nd. We'll talk more about the deadline tomorrow, you and I, Todd, on MLB Network Radio. Hopefully you can join us there as we continue with more deadline talk. But real quick, before we move on to 2-star pitchers, a quick word from our friends at WinBet. If there's one thing we appreciate here at Rotowire, it's making good decisions, and even more so making the right decision. Listen up, folks. I have an incredible offer for you with Rotowire's newest partner, WinBet, the premier digital casino and sportsbook app. WinBet is now the exclusive sponsor for Rotowire's fantasy podcast. WynnBET brings you all the latest action with a user-friendly interface, moneyline bets, boosted parlays, over-unders, round robins, live betting, and so much more at your fingertips. Want a break from sports betting? Head to WynnBET's digital casino and take a spin on roulette, double down in blackjack, slam the slots, or try your hand at baccarat. WynnBET is currently available in 6 states: Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia. While rapidly expanding at WynnBET, the possibilities are limitless. WynnBET is currently offering all Rotowire listeners a risk-free bet up to $500 on your first wager. Download WynnBET now. That's WYNNBET. WynnBET, the exclusive partner for Rotowire's fantasy podcast. So 2-start pitcher grades for next week. Todd, we'll start, since we're running a little long here on Trade Talk. Taylor Widener, Madison Bumgarner versus San Francisco at San Diego. Haven't really given either of these guys much mind this year, but I'll give Bumgarner a 1, a courtesy 1 for his legacy, and Widener I'm going to give a 0.
I think actually Widener may actually have a better shot, but for full disclosure, I have not even opened my spreadsheet. Been doing some other stuff, so these are totally off the cuff. And while you were doing that wonderful read, nice job. Nice. Took a quick look, and we won't have to talk about these guys for very long. There's not a whole lot of good starters this week. All right, with that, all right, I'm going to go 1 each. I'm going to give a 1 and a 1.
Okay, I'll get you down for a 1 on Widener. Has he been? Maybe I just haven't really looked.
It's more of both are good offenses, good parks, but. In my mind, I have
not
him
completing. I mean, he hasn't been horrible.
He had fairly recently. He had a good start. So in my thick skull, you know what? He's been terrible lately. You know what? I'm going to redo that and say 0. I must be confusing him. Yeah, he's given it 5 runs in each of the past 2 games, 3 2/3, 4 2/3. Only has not gone 5 innings since April 22nd. Yeah, I'm going to take that back.
I feel like the Diamondbacks have like 7 Taylor Wideners on their team. They're all like interchangeable.
It may have been that I watched the first inning of a game and he went 1, 2, 3, and then I turned it off. Maybe it was against Pittsburgh.
What I see with my own 2 eyes sticks in my head.
Maybe it was against Pittsburgh. Anyway, yeah, but Bumgarner, I'll go 0-1 like you.
Okay. Now, you mentioned Max Fried will have a lot of pressure on him if the Braves get to the postseason. That if will ride heavily on his arm in the meantime, too. So a lot on him at St. Louis versus Washington next week. I was a big Fried believer after last year. It's been a disappointing year, but I'll still give him a 3.
Going to give him a 3 as well. I'm looking at his innings. 90 innings, pitched 56 last year. He's 27, so he's not a kid, right? So he can, you'd think he could handle without slowing down too much. But, right, it's just going to be the burden just to get into the playoffs, let alone once they're there. But I like these as a 3.
Always want to throw out the caveat that these are tentative, and we will have.
You know what? Relative to the field, because I cheated and looked ahead, considering they're playing St. Louis and Washington, I'm going to go 4 because I think relative to the field, Fried's going to end up in the top 40.
Okay, I got you a 4 on Max Fried. Now Jorge Lopez at the Yankees versus Tampa Bay.
He will not end up in the top 40.
No. I'd be kind of surprised. I'm a little surprised they're even. I know they have nothing to play for and they're just evaluating, but even so, I'd a little surprised he's still in that rotation. Garrett Richards.
He's one of their better pitchers.
Yeah,
so he's a 0. Sorry. So Garrett Richards.
No, that's true. At Detroit, at Toronto, ERA over 5. Team has been pretty darn good, a lot better than I expected. But I think Garrett Richards probably a 2.
Yeah, and Sale won't be coming back just yet, so he will likely get that second start, right?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. That one's pretty scary.
Yeah, and they already got Tanner Houck when the doubleheader coming back. Yeah, I forget what you said, but I'm going to say 2 or 3. They're both away 2. I can't go 3. I just can't go 3.
And Zach Davies, I mean, this first one's at Colorado, so I think, and then the second one's versus the White Sox. So
yeah, it's a 0.
Hard to see starting Zach Davies. Yeah,
that's a 0
as well. Tyler Mahle for the Reds versus Minnesota versus Pitt. A little bit of a give back, recently for Mahle, but I still like him quite a bit. I actually, relative to the field, I'm going to give him a 5.
I'm going to give him a 4. A couple tough. I mean, they're not tough matchups, but yeah, I'm going to give him a 4.
Yeah, that's probably the more reasonable grade there. Zach Plesac at Toronto versus Detroit. Sam Hentges is 0, but when it comes to Plesac, he's been pretty darn good since coming back, so I'm going to give him a 4.
Has he been good?
I guess I have it in my head that he's been okay.
I mean, he hasn't been terrible. He's not striking anybody out.
He got a win over the Cardinals.
He's given up homers. I think he's been okay. I'm going to go with a 2.
Oh wow, 2.
Yeah, no. Looking at offhand. I mean, he's not walking anybody, but he's not fanning anybody either. We can't get So let's see. Well, the 8th was right before the break. So just in July, 4.57, 1.29. But he's got 5.8 Ks per 9 and 2 home runs per 9. So, I mean, the xFIP may bring it down because of the home runs, but I'm sure his FIP is terrible. But he's got 2 wins. So, I mean, he's actually won not 5 straight games, but his last 5 decisions he's won. So he's kind of like the anti-Tyler Mcgill, who's inheriting Jacob deGrom's lack of run support.
Yeah, he's been great, but just can't get any help. Plesac, I mean, he's got a 110 whip. I still am a believer, even though he's kind of boneheaded. So that's one of the rare ones where you have a 2-point gap. I got a 4, Todd at 2 on Zach Plesac.
Right, okay.
Kyle Freeland's going to be a 0, both home starts. So let me get that logged in the sheet.
Yeah.
Kyle Freeland, a 0. Exciting stuff. Lucas Giolito versus Kansas City at the Cubs. That'll be a fun crosstown matchup next weekend after they just dealt with each other. Lucas Giolito's a 5.
He's a 5.
He's finally come back pretty strong. So.
I think there's going to be somebody later who will be ranked higher, but right now he's the top-ranked player.
Okay, now for the Detroit Tigers, it is Willie Peralta. Hasn't been terrible, but he gets Boston, then at Cleveland. Maybe I'll give him a 1. Are you going to go higher? Am I disrespecting?
I'm not going to go higher.
Peralta?
I need to look at Willie Peralta. I have a trade on the table in a league where I have a choice between Willie Peralta and Matt Manning, and I can choose one or the other. So I'll be doing a little research. I can't. I'd ask you to make the decision for me, but I think you're in the league with me. So now you're going to be able to figure out, who I'm trading with.
But I just for me, I mean, if we're talking long term, that'd be Manning.
Nah, it's Ian. Of course it's Mr. Ian Kahn, and we're working with potentially a deal where it's a deal that we're going to have to wait till we were going to wait till the deadline was over to see where we both stand. I might be breaking my rule. He's running away with AL labor, so I won't feel as guilty trading with him because I can say he's going to win anyway, and it's going to help me a lot to do this particular deal. So I'm not going to feel guilty about the team, the teams chasing him. That if you didn't do that deal, Ian would have won. I think Ian could fail to do a roster move the rest of the year and still win.
Yeah, he's up like 30 points on the pack, isn't he?
Yeah,
30 standings points. That is. So he's been killing us.
Anyway, so
everybody in the league.
So anyway, but I'm going to give Peralta. Oh boy, He's not even going innings. I'm going to give him a 0 because he's not even going 5 innings.
All right, I had a 1, but I'll get you down for a 0.
Yeah, okay.
Peralta. Next up, we got Lance McCullers at the Dodgers. Pretty tough, but then versus Min. I got him as a 4, but maybe he should be a 5.
I was going to say maybe he should be a 3, but I'm going to go with a 4.
Okay, I mean he's 8-2. He's been.
You're right. You know what? He's been giving length lately. Mm-hmm. This is why people. Why do you use spreadsheets? Because I can't remember things. I may get too attached to my spreadsheets. That's weird.
This time of the year, everything just there's so much going on. Everything just kind of. I don't remember if something I heard or saw was real. If I just dreamed it. Yeah. My joke is if I didn't have a pill box to take meds, I wouldn't know what day it was. So right,
anyway,
so did you say 4?
I'm gonna go 4. I'm gonna keep it a 4, but it wouldn't shock me if it sneaked. You know what? Look at those strikeouts: 8-8, 10-8-8. You talked me into it 5.
Oh wow, okay. I had a 4, but I'll give you 5. I was a skeptic just on his ability to hold up, but He's been fantastic. So I think
on a start-by-start basis at this point, if he's healthy, you got to figure you're getting the stud. Mccullars. He's not giving up homers. His walk rate isn't great, but no, he's fine.
It's been a roller coaster this year with Chris Bubich. I dropped him, and then, of course, he goes off. Last 3 starts, 6 innings in all 3, so 18 total innings, 12-6 K to walk, 2 ERA, 106 WHIP. You buying into this recent run, or would you consider starting Bubich at the White Sox at St. Louis? I'll probably give him a 2, but
I don't like the strikeouts. He's getting away. He doesn't give. He only given up 2 homers the past. 1 homer. Talking about the 3 starts you're talking about since the break. Since the break, he's 2.0 ERA, but 6 strikeouts per 9, 3 walks per 9, which is average, but only a homer. So, what were the matchups again? I could look myself. The matchups were
at the
White Sox and St. Louis. So I like one, don't like the other. I'm going to go with a 1.
Okay, yeah, I should probably go 1 as well, but for some reason he had that one minor league season where he was just fantastic. Then he came up last year and was kind of, that's
if
a
the
tough
strikeouts
assignment.
were higher, I'd be more confident.
Jose Suarez for the Angels, very tentative here. At Texas, at the Dodgers. Hasn't been bad, but I can't give him more than like a 2.
Yeah, at the Dodgers is scary. I'm not even. Wasn't he? Yeah, he came out firing, and then he's kind of.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 1
a little bit.
I'm changing it.
Yeah. Again, not a lot of strikeouts. I'm gonna go with a 1.
Dodgers got 2 off days next week, so they do not have a 2-start starter. For Miami, they've been stripped down, so we're looking at maybe Jordan Holloway and Braxton Garrett. Ugh. I don't know, man. I can't really. Braxton Garrett, he had a 1 decent outing, but I can't see.
Well, at Colorado, we don't have to talk any further.
Oh yeah, at Colorado's the second one. Good call.
So a couple of goose eggs.
Jordan Holloway, goose egg. Let me get this in the sheet. We'll recap these, of course, after the show. So, just clicking around here, Braxton Garrett was the other one. 0. As we wrap up things here, we got, looks like, the Brewers 6 men, they got an off day, so nobody for them. Maeda stayed put, didn't he? I never saw anything after the
only question with the Brewers is this going to be one of Council's piggyback week, but Peralta to potentially give Lauer a second? I don't think it's going to happen, right? They're kind of unannounced. He's piggybacking Peralta and one of the other starters to temper innings. I don't see it happening here, though.
Kenta Maeda, since he did stay put, it looks like he'll be at the Reds and then at Houston. Pretty tough. I have him in a few leagues, and I'm probably going to just throw him out there because
he hasn't been pitching. He hasn't been doing what we wanted. But in July, and he had the break, 2.15 ERA, 0.82 WHIP, 11 Ks per 9. He's crushed July, if you want to be honest.
Yeah.
He's 1 win. 11 K per 9, 1.8, so well over a 5 K to walk ratio, 0.6 home run per 9. So he's actually done really, really, really well. Now, he's faced Detroit 3 times. People may laugh. Guess who scored the most runs in July?
Was it the Tigers?
Detroit.
Wow.
So, yeah. So
I remember they had that one crazy game where they got out homered 6-0. And
so if Maeda hadn't pitched so well against the Tigers, they'd just be through the roof this month. But yeah, so I think Maeda. I don't think he's the Maeda that we expected at the beginning. But even though the matchups aren't that favorable, I think we can go. I'm going to go 4.
Okay, I had a 3, but I'll get you down as a 4
okay.
for Maeda.
Okay.
He stayed put. Michael Pineda also stayed put for that team, but with Jay Happ getting traded, they brought up Griffin Jacks.
He's been up. He's been up. And looks like they potentially will insert John Gant right into the rotation.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Jacks. Was
that a salary name? Was that a salary dump? That had to be a salary dump.
Yeah, I think so. But Pineda's still there. I dropped him in a bunch of leagues, but
yeah,
maybe I'll consider picking him back up. Tyler Mcgill, You mentioned he's getting that lack of run support. One win, despite a 2.04 ERA, but with him the rest of the season and even for next year, I think I might be in on the Tyler Mcgill train. I mean, at Miami this week, then at Philadelphia, pretty good. I think I might give him a 4.
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned strikeouts several times, 39 and 35 and a third. And kind of his heritage is, his pedigree, always more than a strikeout an inning. And granted, it was only in the minors this year. But, he's someone that's definitely intriguing. Best park in the majors to pitch in.
And I'm also going to give Taiwan Walker a 4. But would you consider going 5 on Walker or 4?
Walker's coming off of actually, you know what? He's pitched once since he got blown up, right? And it was kind of a nice little rebound there. So I will give him a 4. Actually, no, he kind of again. He started out well against Washington and then got hit late. He gave up, or maybe he's given up 11 runs his last 2 starts over 9 innings, and that's following the one where he got lit up. So he's not pitching well lately. 5 homers the past 2 games. I'm going to go with a 3.
You're going 3 on Taiwan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pitching streaks are unpredictable, but pitchers tend to be more streaky. It's just and I know they have to break. At some point, a good pitcher pitching good has to pitch badly, and vice versa. But I'm more apt. I factor in recent performances into the pitching rankings more than I factor in hitting streaks when I pick hitters.
We have Nestor Cortez in there for the Yankees. He did go 5 in his most recent outing. And versus Baltimore, versus Seattle is kind of nice. I have a hard time trusting that he'll be, go deep enough to qualify in either of these. But I'll still give him a 1. And then Garrett Cole a 5.
Yeah, we're going to assume that the game against Tampa was just a blip, and we're not going to talk spin rate or any of that stuff. It's just one of those things that happens. You're talking about Cortez, lengthwise. He did go 5 last time. Looked, he was pretty pitch efficient. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 2 because I want to justify saying he's the only guy right now that I'd even consider picking up if he was available on waivers. I mean, of the people that would probably be on waivers, right?
Yeah.
I don't, Of course, I'll pick up Garrett Cole if he's on waivers. Duh. I'm saying a pitcher that could conceivably be on a 12 or 15 team free agent list. If I needed a 2-start week, I would consider picking up Cortez.
Yeah, it sounds like Cortez will be on some of your lists this weekend. Probably some of mine as well. Now, for Oakland, they only have 5 games, so no 2-steppers for them.
Yeah.
For the Phillies, Matt Moore, Zach Wheeler. Wheeler's every week 5 pretty much, and maybe
he's the
top
one
5 pitcher.
Yeah, he's the one that I think is probably ahead of I forget who it was. We had number 1 before, but he could be Giolito. I think he'll nose out, especially with Washington. I think he'll nose out Giolito for the top spot this week.
And Matt Moore, you wouldn't give any consideration to?
No.
Max Kranick's been pretty terrible, so I'll give him a 0. But Chad Kuhl, 2 tough road starts, though. And
yeah,
I don't know. I guess I have in my head that Chad Kuhl's not that bad from a few years ago, but I still don't think I'd really consider much. I'll give him a 1 to be nice, though.
Yeah. I agree. I think if you're kind of forced, and he's been pitched okay the past couple starts, 13 strikeouts, 2 walks in his last 10 2/3. But yeah, so I can go with a 1. I could buy off on a 1.
No 2-start starters for the Padres next week, but man, Blake Snell, who's starting the first game of the week, projected. It's just been such a rough run for him. 7 earned runs, his most recent outing.
And you know what? Same with Paddock.
Yeah, but Snell's got 3 7 spots allowed since May 30th. So,
and the interesting thing, and
blow-ups.
This was talked about a lot on Twitter because, as you see now, when pitchers get blown up, someone in the NFBC will say, "Well, he was started by 32% of." He has done. People are like, literally, laughing at Snell being started when he's been pitching so poorly, but he's been crushing it at home. So one can make the argument that he was at home against Oakland, therefore you should start him. But the counter argument is it's such a small sample. Even with that bad start against Oakland, He's 2.81 ERA at home and 8.02 on the road. So, the argument is, you should start him at home. Well, that's kind of not the real argument, because the home and away isn't as much of a factor as the fact that he's stunk lately.
Yeah, true. Now, for Yusei Kikuchi, he took a loss against Houston. I wonder what his numbers would look like, and I kind of hate when people do that, but without the Houston starts, what his numbers would look like.
Oh, yeah. I do it all the time on ESPN just to try to sell a starter. There's always somebody. Somebody.
It's not terrible analysis. It's just like, if you did, it's just cherry picking, obviously.
Right. Well, you make the point. Obviously these numbers count. However, note this. Now, he also had 7 runs against Colorado and 7 runs at Houston. So it may just be that Kikuchi is one of those guys where he's just a real matchup guy. He will crush lesser teams, but is risky against better teams. Whereas, the true aces, you don't care who they're starting against.
Yeah, that's true. He's not quite in that mix, but he's been pretty darn good overall.
At Tampa, at New York, a couple of good teams though here. So
yeah, I'm only going 3. Are you going?
I'm going to 3 as well. I'm going to 3 as well.
Would you give Flexen? Flexen's got 9 wins, 3.81 ERA.
I'll give it 2.
Tampa, at New York 2. Okay, yeah, that sounds.
He's striking batters out, and there's strikeouts to be had. In Yankees, there's also home runs, but there's strikeouts to be had. His strikeouts have fallen off, Flexen, but I'll stick with the number. Yeah.
The Giants and their pretty much all former Reds rotation here. Anthony DeSclafani, Johnny Cueto at Arizona, at Milwaukee. At Arizona is like a prime, just such a juicy matchup now.
They've been hitting better lately, but you're right.
That team's terrible. But yeah,
well, they couldn't hit worse. The way they were hitting, they couldn't have hit any worse.
Yeah,
but that's going to be a 5 for me.
Didn't they lose like 20-some road games in a row?
Yeah. Texas
won 5 on
right
Anthony DeSclafani.
Yeah, Texas is a team not scoring currently. But, I'm going to go 5 on DeSclafani. I know Milwaukee's a tough matchup, but he's pitching pretty well. And I know he's better at home, but it's going to be a low-end 5. He'll be ranked like 18th or 19th overall. But I think with the 2 starts, you can't ignore it. In Cueto, I'm giving a 3. What say you? Yeah, I'll give him a 3. Man, he's starting to get really funky with the Louis Tiant-like deliveries. He's just starting to play games now.
Delay, I love it. Guy's just cool as hell. St. Louis, no 2-start starters projected for them. We'll see. I guess with Happ coming in, they'll slot in probably next week. Michael Wacha versus Seattle.
I have a question. Did I miss? Yeah. I must have missed John Lester getting traded to St. Louis.
That was one of the most. As well.
Was that one of the more recent deals?
I guess that was today. Yeah, for Lane Thomas. So.
Okay. All right. Well. Okay. I wonder if they'll keep. LeBlanc and Woodford in the rotation.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so they'll be slotting in Happ and Lester, I guess, next week. But for Tampa Bay, I mentioned Patino. He's not a 2-start starter, but if you can go get him, if he's still out there, I'd recommend doing that.
Or if he's been on your bench, it's time to let him loose.
Throw him in the lineup, yeah.
Yeah.
But for Wacha, hasn't been pretty, but I kind of like these matchups. So I might give Wacha a 2.
Yep, I agree.
Nice. So as we wrap things up here, Dane Dunning, Jordan Lyles versus the Angels at Oakland. I guess maybe Dunning a 2, but I guess I just have a mental block when it comes to pitchers on this team. It's just,
and I need to get over that. I think I do as well. I have to, it's a good park to pitch in.
Yeah,
I think I may be too over it because I really like Dane Dunning. I really like the fact that Texas acquired Spencer Howard. I like Howard in that ballpark. If you can get over the hell, like Allard. So I think Texas is quietly building up some pitching, but the fact they still have to use Foltynewicz is a problem. But as far as these guys go, Dunning is such a risk. High risk, high reward. He's going to get a 2 for me. Lyles, I'm going to go 1, but it's I don't like it.
Yeah, he's, even with that park playing more favorably for pitchers, he's been pretty rough this year. Robbie Ray's, with those tight pants, he's just been killing it still. Him and Steven Matz, they're versus Cleveland, then versus Boston. Robbie Ray, I guess I'll give a 4 just because I could see some regression still coming.
He just, he cruised for the Red Sox in a doubleheader a couple days ago. Went to 6 and Red Sox
5?
won the night game. Ray will be a 5. Matz is going to be a 2.
Yeah, I'd say so too. Okay, so got you down as a 5 for Robbie Ray, 2 on Matz. Finally, for the stripped-down Washington Nationals. Looks like maybe Jeffrey Rodriguez, Patrick Corbin. A little surprised they kept Corbin. Maybe they just didn't have anybody biting on him. Versus Philly at Atlanta. I think. Yeah,
it's Paolo Espino, right? 0. Unless they change it, it's Espino for the first one, right?
We have Jeffrey Rodriguez.
Oh, you know what? I have an older version, so it must have been must have been revamped since I called it up. Yeah, so Rodriguez and Corbin, Philly and I'm gonna go 0 on Rodriguez. 1, I think I'm gonna go 1, but I don't have to worry about it because I don't have him anywhere. But I'd be nervous even with a 1, but probably shouldn't be because he's probably gonna have one decent outing of the 2. You know what? He's not striking anybody out lately. I think a 0 is justified. I'm going to go 0.
0 on Corbin.
I mean, he is fanned in July. He's got 5 starts. He's fanned 14 and 26 in the third. Not even 5 per 9.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
Not
well,
good.
To recap, 2 starters for the week of August 2nd, 2021. Good luck over these final 2 months. Stay strong, keep your head down, and finish well. Taylor Widener, 0. Madison Bumgarner, 1. Max Fried, I say 3. Todd, 4. Jorge Lopez, 0. Garrett Richards, 2. Zach Davies, 0. Tyler Mahle, I say 5. Todd, 4. Sam Hentges, 0. Zach Plesac, I say 4. Todd, 2. Kyle Freeland, 0. Lucas Giolito, 5. Willie Peralta, I say 1. Todd, 0. Lance McCullers, I say 4. Todd, 5. Chris Bubich, I say 2. Todd, 1. Jose Suarez, 1. Jordan Holloway, 0. Braxton Garrett, 0. Kenta Maeda, I say 3. Todd, 4. Maybe I should bump him up to a 4, but I had a 3 on Maeda. Tyler Mcgill, 4. Taiwan Walker, I say 4. Todd, 3. Nestor Cortez, I say 1. Todd, 2. Garrett Cole, 5. Zach Wheeler, 5. Matt Moore, 0. Max Kranick, 0. Chad Kuhl, 1. Yusei Kikuchi, 3. Chris Flexen, 2. Anthony DeSclafani, 5. Johnny Cueto, 3. Michael Waka, 2. Dane Dunning, 2. Jordan Lyles, I say 0. Todd, 1. Robbie Ray, I say 4. Todd, 5. Steven Matz, 2. Jeffrey Rodriguez, 0. Finally, Patrick Corbin, I say 1. Todd, 0. Anything else on your mind, Todd, before we wrap things up today?
Well, if the folks didn't have enough of my stuttering today, I'll be doing guesting on our friend Kevin Hastings' pod, the 2020 TGFBI winner, something we know a little bit about. And we're going to be reviewing the trade deadline. We're recording it Saturday night, so check my Twitter feed. Again, if you're not sick of hearing me stumble over words and get teams wrong, that's probably going to be a long pod because from what I understand, there's a lot of moves.
Yeah, I like Kevin. That was fun having him on our MLB Network radio show and kind of giving him the ceremonial green jacket. Not literal, but it was kind of fun just having 3
TGFBI. So I'm glad he said he saved me. He saved me for the trade deadline. I'm now not so sure that I accepted it because it's going to be a long pod. But anyway, so check my feed once it's. I wish I don't have the name, the actual feed for it, but check my Twitter and I'm sure I will retweet it, etc. when it comes out.
And also more Todd on MLB Network Radio with myself tomorrow if you get a chance to join us, more trade deadline talk. Otherwise, have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll catch you next time on the Rotowire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, sponsored by WinBet.
Try Rotowire today, free for 10 days. Get our premium tools, rankings, analysis, and breaking news alerts. No credit card required. Go to rotowire.com/